Alright everybody, welcome. ZFG Racing. On this round is Bathurst in light of the Bathurst challenge or the Bathurst race that just happened. Unfortunately in this one there's no Bentleys or Kangaroos, but that's alright. Set a decent qualifying time for 10th place. The strategy for this is straight out run to the end. No pits, no nothing, just try and make your hard tires run all the way onto the end. Rolling start, it's a little rough, and as always turn one is a little rough, especially on cold tires, so brake early, get the turn in, and get the run down this extra long straight. After turn one, turn two is usually the most hectic place, especially at Bathurst because it's sweeping right-hander hard on the brakes. Especially with cold tires, a lot of people get it wrong and end up in the wall. You can see there, somebody already ended up in the wall. I had to figure out a way to get around him. This is a dangerous place to try and pass on an uphill section, but got it done, settled in, heading uphill. This turn right here, you just have to kind of gently let off the gas to get around, and then right back on and upshift. Stay in it all the way up until here, gentle let off, and then cruise around. Another gentle let off over the hill, push it all the way as far out as you can, and then hard on the brakes here, downhill. But you have to make sure that the back end doesn't step out on you, so while you're hard on the brakes, you still need to be able to control. Downhill into Forest Elbow, definitely a hard turn to get right. Power out down another extremely long straightaway. As you can see, the Viper is behind me, breathing down my neck, and he is quick to say the least. I think it outruns me in the straight without the slipstream, but I have it here. And then into the chase, hard on the brakes here, let it coast, up and through, and then around the corner into the final turn. As you can see, there's a traffic jam up ahead. I decided to go on the inside and push my way through, but I made it stick. I had the inside line, so I kept the inside line. He came over, not my fault. And that's the end of lap one. As you can see, there's 2 penalties ahead. So the first penalty zone is here. He goes spinning off into what we call the shadow rev. I'm going to get one pass here on the straight, and then basically have to chase down this guy. He's going to defend well, and I have to keep my line around the outside. Oh, as he goes into the barriers. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Somebody must have missed their braking point, but it's good luck for me, I guess. A little breathing room as we go back up the hill. The Aston in front of me is quite good in a straight line, and with a talented driver behind the wheel, even in the turns, it can, for being such a big boat, it can definitely turn and make moves. I guess I'll take this time to talk about the new livery we have in the works. This is just a work in progress. We're trying to get everything settled for the next season. If you join us on iRacing and on GT Sport, you too can have one of these lovely liveries that we have for 0 faults given. As we get back to the straightaway again, down into the chase. The chase is a very difficult place because even though it's flat out, right after the apex, you have to start thinking about braking. Because as we come into this, it can definitely throw you off. And if you're late on the brakes, you either end up in the back of a car or off into the grass. And once you touch the grass, that is the end of it. So now it's a 3-way battle for 3rd place. We've got the Aston out front, me and the Mercedes, and then the RCF right behind me. RCF is a very good car. It's very balanced, easy to get around the track. As you can see, the gentleman behind me is having a a little bit of a hard time getting it to go straight, but that can happen when you're pushing it, especially in the slipstream, because you get a lot of the dirty air, and it's a lot harder to control. As we start the uphill again, Aston kind of scraping the wall there, but it just shows that he's pushing it, and he's trying to keep, obviously, me behind him. I think one of my strongest sections on this course is the uphill. Halfway decent on the downhill. I need to get better on the brakes and actually when to brake, because I seem to be braking just a little early. I'd rather play it safe, but safe doesn't win races. Safe brings you home, but I'd rather be in first place than anything else. So I definitely need to work on that. And this week's races, race C is obviously Bathurst, or excuse me, Mount Panorama. I'm just gonna keep calling it Bathurst, so that's what I know it as. So back onto the straightaway again. Still in the slipstream of the Aston ahead, so I should gain some ground here, and the RCF shouldn't necessarily be able to catch up as long as I stay in the slipstream. And again, down into the chase. Ooh, got a little squirrely there. Put one in the dirt, and because of that, I let RCF go by just because he was put out because of me, and I tried to keep it as fair as I possibly can. So if I hadn't made that mistake, he wouldn't have been put out as he was. And you can see he throws on his hazards there to say thank you. And at the end of the day, I kind of figured that with what little skill I do have, that I would at least be able to chase him down. So now the hunt begins again. Still a battle for, well, third place is kind of gone, so say it's a battle for fourth place. And as we once again start that uphill section. At this point, the tires are warm and still running quite well. We're not really worried about tires yet. We've got about 2 more laps left before we actually have to start worrying about the understeer and the oversteer out of the corners. So the name of the game now is settle in, try and keep my race pace going, and just maybe don't hit anything. That's kind of the plan. Just don't hit anything and keep your position. Wait for the people in front of you to either make mistakes like the RCF just did, and try and capitalize on those moments. Usually I lose a couple tenths in the downhill section again because I'm a little earlier on the brakes and a little more cautious in the downhill section. But whenever that happens on Bathurst, I make up all of that time on this back straight here and into the chase. That's a place where I do late brake quite a bit, just because even though the Mercedes is quite large, the brakes on it are very good, so I tend to push it as much as I can there. The reason I don't push it in the downhill section is because the back end will step out. If you're not just on time or just before, the back end starts to step out, and once it's gone in the downhill, it is absolutely gone. There is no way to save it. So I figured I'd push it other places where if I do make mistakes, I can bring the car back to center. Once again, we're going back up to the uphill section. As you can see, I'm still within striking distance of the Lexus. I'm just keeping my space, waiting for either a mistake or a proper run. And as we join on board here, you can hear a little bit of that understeer from this this giant boat type car, but overall it's a pretty planted car. It's easy enough to drive. You have to settle in and know that brake earlier. It's a little harder in the turns, again, just because of the understeer, and it does have a touch of oversteer on exit, but that's to be expected with a car with this much horsepower. And overall it's definitely fun to drive. This is possibly one of the manufacturers I'm debating for the next season. It's right now between this and the RCF in front of us. And again, the reason being for the RCF is just it's a well balanced car. It's not terrible at any track, but it's not an overall just winner at any track either. So it all comes down to skill and what you can do with the car. It's not just a runaway car. So turn one, a lot of time can be gained or lost there just because of the entry and onto this long straight. So basically, if you get it wrong, you will never get a good run out of this straight. But if you get it dead right, as you can see now, I'm right up on the RCF, and it basically sets the tone for the entire uphill section if you can get turn one right. If you get it wrong, usually you don't really recover again until you start the downhill. So at this point, you can see tires are starting to wear. They're starting to go. The RCF in front is starting to slide and kind of be a handful. So once again, I just need to settle in and wait for that mistake, because I've basically saved my tires. I haven't been as aggressive as he has, and the lap times kind of show that if anything, I'm consistent. I will, even on the hard tires, I'm consistently in the 205s. Save the first lap, obviously. The first lap is usually in the two. Depending on where you start, it can be anywhere from 215 to 220. And here you can see I have a run up on him, but I backed out just because that is not a good place to pass at all. Gran Turismo Sport tends to give you a 4-second penalty just for a touch through the chase, so we tend not to do that. I gave him a little love tap there, but no harm, no foul. He kept his position, I kept mine. And again, once into turn one. So now this is the worst place that you would want to be, in between two that are fighting. In between the two that are fighting here, just because I want to attack, but I have to pick my spots very, very carefully. The reason being is, if I go to attack and I leave myself open, the Aston behind me can go ahead and move in and make that pass instead. So the best thing to do, once again, is to just settle in, let it ride out. So as we approach the downhill, at this point I'm thinking that the RCS tires are almost gone, if not gone already, because as you can see, he's pushing very, very hard to try and stay in front. And my tires are still in good condition. The car is absolutely planted even through the downhill. And again, through Forest Elbow, you can see there's no slide, no anything. And the RCF brushes the wall. So as long as I can maintain this, last couple laps will likely go in my favor, just so long as I can maintain exactly this pace that I'm going at now. with the way that the RTF is driving, it's just he's pushing, and absolutely killing those tires. As we come around again, last turn, also a very important one because it basically sets you up for turn one. I know that kind of sounds odd, but if you can get the last turn and turn one right, it sets the tone all the way up until the downhill section. And as you see the RTF getting again squarely on the exit, which gave him a poor run up the hill. I decided to defend here, keep my inside line, brake, hug the inside, and keep my position. That is textbook defense right there. Into the uphill now. The RCF is getting away because I have to play the defensive game now. Through all those long straightaways, the Aston was able to catch up, but he bounces off the wall there. But that doesn't necessarily slow him down that much, especially since the slipstream is quite strong. So even a small mistake like that can still get him pretty much right up on me. And he attacks the downhill. Absolutely does. So he's right on me here. Once again, I have to defend in the forest elbow, keep tight inside line. And he just gets a better run out. So I tuck in, try and maybe gain my position back. And you can see off in the distance there's a McLaren coming up. And even through all my tire saving, my tires are starting to go now. Run a little bit wide, getting a little bit on the steer here and there. As you can see right there, a little bit of oversteer on the exit, but I managed to save it, which is good. So if I can get turn one right and get this run out, which I did not, running a little wide there, and that compromised my run up the hill. And you can see third and fourth are now basically off in the distance. And I'm once again starting to play the defensive game against the McLaren, which outright is a faster car. I have better traction in the corners, but on any straightaway that McLaren is just going to beat me. So once again, defensive game all the way up the hill, and hopefully I can catch the two in front and have the slipstream on the back straightaway to help pull me along. If not, well, I might either lose a position or just get my defense just right and hold him off for another lap, which right now is the name of the game. Hold him off for one more lap. But at this rate, it's not looking very promising for me, only because the tires are starting to fall off. I'm on the tail end of what is left of these hard tires. So as you can see, the RCF got a penalty, possibly for a track limit penalty. And this is where we're going to start running into some issues. I end up running just a bit wide here, and have to stay basically off the racing line so as not to mess up anybody else. Coming into the last corner, kind of messed it up again and end up in 6th place. Overall, it was a good race. A couple mistakes toward the end, but overall I would say that was a decent showing for Team ZFG. But next time we will do better. So join us next week or whenever the next episode is. Not too sure yet. And as always, join us on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. Zero Fox Given Racing.